Hi, thanks for dropping by. This is Lynn. I thought I'd do a video today because I've noticed I haven't done any blogging for some time because I've been very busy with my masters and launching a digital magazine. So I thought maybe if I just do a video very quickly, then at least there'll be something for you guys to catch up on with regard to all the stuff that I'm learning on the masters program. Fascinating stuff, but first of all, just let me tell you a little bit about the magazine, because if you're a singer or you're interested in singing, this magazine will be a fantastic resource for you. It's called I Sing, little I and then Sing, and it's available through iTunes and Google Play, and you can load it onto your tablet or your iPhone. It's full of amazing contributions from people all over the world talking about careers, vocal technique, vocal health, fashion and singing. What else? We've got business, we've got reviews. It really is just full on, and I'm very excited about it, and I think it's going to be an amazing resource for everybody out there who's singing or interested in singing. I'll pop a link somewhere so that you can go and check it out later if you're interested. So in the meantime, what am I doing on this course? Well, the course has really opened my eyes to a lot of things. When I work with my clients, I'm really focused on the voice, and I don't necessarily look much past there, and I've realized as a result of the stuff that I'm learning at the moment that I need to be much more holistic in my approach. And of course I have all this knowledge and understanding of the body, but I don't necessarily apply it all when I'm working with singers, and this is missing out on a huge well, sometimes discrepancy, and so I want to start to correct that. And I'd like to help you, if you're a singing teacher or even as a singer, to start to think a little bit more holistically as well. So the topic that I'm interested in today is hypermobility. Fascinating topic, really, and I hadn't really thought about how it may affect a singer, but I have a theory. I have some theories. So I thought I'd share them with you, see what your experience of it was, and see if we could explore it a little bit further. There hasn't been very much research, if any, on hypermobility and singing, but there has obviously on dance and instrumentalists, because this can have a rather detrimental effect on the ability of a dancer and an instrumentalist to do their art. So hypermobility is when the joints are very lax. Some people may know it as being double jointed. This is when joints which include the shoulder, the elbows, the hands, the fingers, finger joints, the knees, the hips, the ankles, toes, whatever, stretch and overstretch. Useful in some instances, like for instance if you're an escapologist, and you need to bend, in order to get out of your chains. And also, obviously, quite an advantage initially for dancers, because a dancer with hypermobility will be able to do the splits very easily, bend back, forwards, put their legs up in the air, do the splits, if I haven't already said that. But the problem is that these people end up getting a condition called osteoarthritis in the end, because the joints are stretching too much, and when you're using them, overusing them, then actually this encourages osteoarthritis to come quite early in their lives. So it can be very painful. And when we were learning about this, I was thinking, well, how does this impact on singers, and does it impact on singers? And I realized actually it probably does, because the larynx has a joint or a couple of joints, and if the ligament is too stretchy in the vocal folds, then maybe we don't have as much control over our voice as we need to. Now, one of my thoughts when I was thinking through this process was probably a teacher like myself, who deals mainly with the professional and the market, doesn't see many people who have hypermobility, because if you have it in your voice, you probably don't have enough vocal control that singing is enjoyable or possible or easy, and so you'd probably give up and turn to something else. But on the other hand, there are other disciplines, such as somebody who might be going into Cirque du Soleil, who has an acrobatic background, who may need the voice or dancers, especially in musical theatre, who are auditioning for musical theatre, who need to sing, who may end up trying to get their voice together and be having difficulties. And in actual fact, it was this very situation where I started to realise that hypermobility does need to be a consideration for us as teachers. So I had a young girl who was an actress, and she wanted to audition for musicals. So she came in to have some singing lessons. She had a good voice, but she had this huge gap as she was ascending up from chest through to head voice. And I thought, oh, that's fine, I know how to fix these gaps. And I started doing all the exercises that I knew for weak vocal fold reduction. And after a period of time, or what I consider a normal period of time passed, she still wasn't getting any better. And it wasn't because she was straining as she was going through. It wasn't because her vocal folds were out of her control. There was just these gaps on the way up and down that kept appearing around the same spot. And I was kind of frustrated, if I'm honest. And I was watching her this particular day, and I noticed that her thumb stuck quite far back. And I'd just been covering hypermobility in my course, and I suddenly stopped and said, "Are you hypermobile?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, I can dislocate my shoulder if I want to, and, I can bend my fingers back," and she showed me. And I was like, okay, so here is a theory. If you are hypermobile, especially in your upper limbs, it's very likely that you're hypermobile in your larynx as well, and that has joints and ligaments in there, and this may be one of the reasons that you're having trouble trying to stay connected and controlling your voice as you go up higher. Of course, the only problem is there's no way of really testing it, and even if we could test it, there isn't any particular exercise or remedy at this stage. We don't know enough about it. But at least we may know what we're dealing with, and I can start to think about things that we could do to help the ligament manage this area. Now, her response was, "That totally makes sense to me, because when I'm feeling it, I feel like there's just this place where I can't control, everything's kind of loose, I suppose, and I've been frustrated and thinking that it was my fault and that it was because I wasn't doing my exercises and I've been practicing and da-da-da." Now, as it turned out, through one thing and another, she moved away from my area. She didn't continue after maybe a month after this, so I don't know whether she's pursuing this any further. The other thing is that her focus is being an actress or an actor, and so maybe she's not going to pursue the singing so much now that she realises that actually there's maybe a physiological issue that's going on that's preventing her from getting the voice that she wants. Or maybe she's just going to use the area of her voice that's not affected. I need to follow that up actually, but I thought it was a very interesting lesson, not only for her but also for me. So I guess the positive aspect of this is that at least she knows that it's likely that it's not her fault and that there's some mechanical physiological issue going on that's affecting her ability to get through her range. So I wondered if you had any experience like this and whether it's been a bit of an aha moment for you with your voice or with one of your students. As I said, at the moment it's a theory. I think that we probably don't see a lot of these people in our studios because singing is just too hard, and the ones that we do see, maybe they give up after a while, or they go around seeking other teachers thinking that maybe this, it's the teaching. But in actual fact, if you recognised it, maybe you too would be able to help that student understand their voice a bit better. So the kind of symptoms you'd be looking for is double jointedness anywhere else, and there's plenty of information on how to assess that on the internet. It's not rocket science, by the way, and like myself, you could just observe it in how somebody's hands are, or whether they're complaining, that they get dislocations. Dancers tend to have a higher chance. Also, the Asian race has a higher chance. So there are certain factors which will contribute to that possibility. And then when they're singing, you might recognise that they've got this flip as they go up through their passaggio, but the normal exercises which help with vocal fold closure aren't actually having much of an impact. After a certain period of time, we would expect that there would be an improvement, but if there's laxity there, then we may not get the sort of improvement that is normal. Drop me an email if you like, lynn@lynnhilton.com. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if necessary, and I'm getting enough responses, I'll put a little bit more information up on other people's experiences as we go along. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to hearing from you.